Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful morning after some lovely rain, and I'm enjoying a cup of coffee in the garden and just taking a moment to check in with you. I don't know what your week has been like. Mine has been pretty crazy. It's involved things like exploding power lines, new kittens, and you can see them in the background here. I've also had to do a funeral and walk with folk through some sadness and losses. We've had a break-in in our complex. We've had the Global Leadership Summit, and in amongst that, a pile of email and a bunch of busyness. And as I look around me, it seems as though everybody is really feeling the tension and the pressure. And I'm experiencing a lot of folk who are just totally stressed, and some even quite afraid. And it seems as though the year is rushing towards an end at a relentless pace, and people are feeling quite out of control, feeling quite challenged. And so I thought I'd take a moment to just check in this morning and come back to some quick basics. And the passage that I want to look at this morning is from Romans chapter 12, and it's a beautiful passage, and I'm going to read the length of it, make a few comments along the way, and then focus in on three key thoughts. And so I'm reading from Romans 12 verses 9 to 16. Love must be sincere. Hate what is evil. Cling to what is good. And I really want to urge that we cling to what is good. At the moment, it's so easy to focus on the negatives, to focus on the fake news and the social media drives, and we need to cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in love. And I'm seeing relationships being tested all over the place. Marriages, children and parents, even friendships are being tested, and we need to be devoted to one another, that we need to choose to give one another the benefit of the doubt. We need to choose to think the best of one another. We need to choose to go the extra mile in our relationships. Paul goes on to say, honor one another above yourselves. And one of the things that I so easily do when things are pressurized is I tend to consider my situation and my needs and my pressures as all important. But I need to think about others as well, and to put them above myself. Never be lacking in zeal, but keep up your spiritual fervor in serving the Lord. And in these times, it's so easy to neglect the basics of our quiet time, or the time that we spend in prayer, the time that we give in service to God. And we're being reminded here that we should keep up our zeal and our fervor in serving the Lord. And here I want to remind you about our morning services, which have resumed, and I really want to invite you, come along and join us at church. Slowly but surely, more and more folk are feeling comfortable to come, and it's just great to be together. And I do want to urge you and encourage you to do just that. Then Paul says the three things that I want to focus on more strongly later on. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. He goes on to say, share with the Lord's people who are in need, and practice hospitality. And this really speaks of a generosity of spirit, that we show kindness and generosity to those around us. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. And here again, I'm seeing people so quickly getting cross and frustrated and getting ready to be angry with a shop attendant or somebody in a queue or somebody in the traffic. And we need to make sure that our language doesn't become the language of cursing. And I'm going to be talking about language on Sunday in our series on Ruth, and just how powerful language can be. And let's choose to bless. Let's choose to bless and not to curse. He ends off by saying, rejoice with those who rejoice, mourn with those who mourn. and live in harmony with each other. And then right at the end of the chapter, he says, do not be overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good. As I'm watching folk journey through these challenging times, the advice that Paul gives us here in this passage is so important and so vital, and many of us are going to need to draw on that advice. I want to focus in on the one sentence that he gives where he says, be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. And in our Thursday night fellowship group, we were discussing just these 3 lines, and we took turns to talk about which of these 3 lines meant the most to us. And the one that meant the most to me was being joyful in hope. That in the midst of everything that was happening this week, and it really has been a topsy-turvy crazy week for me, I found an amazing capacity, and I really can't claim this for myself, but something that God does, that in spite of everything that was going on, at one point we were standing in the rain trying to sort out this power cable that had exploded, that we could find humor, and that within the relationships of the people standing there in the rain, we could tease and be playful and enjoy a sense of humor. That we continued to have hope, and being joyful in hope is an amazing gift that God gives us. And throughout the ages, we have seen Christians go through difficult things and difficult circumstances and find joy, the ability to see good, to enjoy beauty, and to continue to have hope. But Paul also says, be patient in affliction. Now, being patient is hard enough at any point, but being patient in affliction, that almost seems impossible to do, and yet Paul says we should do it, and that means that he believes it's possible. And if you're going through a time of affliction, I want you to recognize that it's possible through God's grace to be patient. And finally, Paul says, be faithful in prayer. And I found that in these challenging times, I've used the breathing prayers, where just as I'm breathing, just under my breath, I say, Lord, I need your help with this. Oh Lord, give me wisdom as I make this phone call. Oh Lord, help me see what the problem is here. And that sense of being with the Lord all day long and being able to hand everything to Him in prayer has been a tremendous help for me. And I really want to invite you into that breathing prayer. Folk, I'm very aware that many of you are carrying heavy loads. You have loved ones who are not well. You've been through bereavement. Your finances are tough and difficult. Your job situation is unsure. You're looking around you and you're feeling discouraged and dispirited. And as you find yourself in these places, I want to say to you, you are not alone. You have brothers and sisters who can pray for you and support you, who are going through similar things. But more importantly, you have a God who raised His Son from the dead. That as Jesus faced the grave, He overcame and offers hope to you and me. And so let's be joyful in our hope. Let's be patient in our affliction. And let's be faithful in prayer. And so from our home to yours, with lots of love, may the Lord bless you and keep you and make His face to shine on you. May the Lord lift up His countenance upon you and give you His peace. Amen.